Welcome everybody to our first Garden Soil Health Workshop. I am Shannon Smith and I'm the new Conservation District Manager. By new, I've been about 6 months, well next month will be 6 months, so I'm loving the position and I love environmental education and just love conservation work. So if you need anything, you have a group that would like a program of some sort, let me know. Obviously we also do state cost share and all those things, so I'm happy to help with that. I asked everybody to put their email address down if they wanted some extra information. I have some good info on like seed libraries, from the extension, cover crop, native plants, things like that. So I was going to pass that along to you all as well. I will get a newsletter out, hopefully soon. That has been the plan. So today we have two presenters. Our first presenters today are Loren and Joyce Swenson. I think Loren's going to talk most, but they both have a lot of experience. The Swensons have been married for 54 years and are devoted parents and grandparents. They have been gardening and farming in the Concordia area for many decades. They have been soil health pioneers, having started no-tilling more than 40 years ago. I could talk for an hour about background information, but I won't. And just to mention a few things, Loren is a soil health coach for Glacial Hills Resource Conservation and Development. He serves as director for Natural Resource Conservation Service Board, the Cloud County Farm Service Agency, and the Cloud Corp Board of Directors. The Swensons are also active members in their church and community, and we can't wait to hear what they have to share today, so help me welcome them.
Thank you, thank you. That was a very nice introduction. That kind of blew most of it. Anyway, yeah, I am Loren. This is Joyce, and we have been farming since 1977. We met at Kansas State University. She was the hottest co-ed on campus, and I was one of the luckiest guys on campus. So we moved to Minnesota after we got out of school, and in 1977 moved back to the farm in just north of Concordia along the Republican River. And we both have a passion for farming, and Joyce has this passion for gardening, and I kind of help her out. I'm kind of like the professor that was on a speaking tour. Speaking on about his 50th day, he was talking to his driver that drove him around, and he says, "I'm really tired of speaking this speech, you know." And the driver says, "Well, I've heard you for 50-some speeches now. I can give you that speech, no problem." So the guy said, "Okay, go ahead and do it." And the driver did a terrific job. And when it was over, why, some guy in the back asked this really good question. And the driver goes, "You know, that is the dumbest, stupidest question I've ever heard. I'm going to let my driver answer it." And so that's kind of the story. Joyce will probably answer all of the questions. How it started, really, this whole thing with the gardening, I mean, Joyce has always gardened since we moved back to the farm. She's a school teacher. She's a retired school teacher. And one fall afternoon, back in the early 80s, she said, "Loren, she's been reading this wacko letter, Mother Earth News." And she said, "Loren, would you plant a cover crop for me in my garden?" And I had no idea what she was talking about, and of course it was in the fall, and I said, "Well, I've got some wheat left over out in the shop."
And alfalfa.
And alfalfa, yeah, some Kansas common alfalfa. So I put it in the drill, went and planted a garden, forgot completely about it. Next June, when she gets out of school, she says, "Loren, would you till my garden?" I went out to till the garden, and it was too wet. Here was wheat and alfalfa that was probably table height, like that, and it was too wet. Now, just from here to that door over there, I'd planted milo already, where my dad had said, you know, whenever we saw a weed, "Get that weed, it's sapping the moisture." And so I'd go out and disc it again or field cultivate it, and the milo wasn't even coming up because it was too dry. But the garden was too wet to till. Now, why it didn't ring a bell, I have no idea. But that was in the early 80s. We didn't start no-tilling. We didn't start until about the early 90s. And that was, we were no-tilling then just simply because we didn't have enough money to buy more equipment, you know. And then early in about 2012, we started messing with cover crops. So that's why we didn't realized what was happening right in front of us? I don't know, but we should have, and we should have been paying a lot more attention to that. Now, I'm going to ask some questions for you guys, first off, because we've got all kinds of things we can talk about, but I want to talk about what you're interested in. How many of you are commercial growers? How many are vegetable growers that you want to know all about raising tomatoes to sell to some canner or some farmer's market? No, oh, one. Okay, you, Tom. Yeah. Okay. We're probably not going to talk very much about that then, because we did. We at one time we had a store in Concordia where we sold vegetables. We had over 600 tomato plants and all the sweet corn and
We
potatoes.
did farmer's market
For a while, yeah, for a lot of years and stuff. So we're not going to talk about that because we don't really like it unless. We will talk about how many of you are interested in like high tunnels. Okay, we'll talk quite a bit about that then. And how many of you are just really gardeners that are interested in growing food for yourself? Everybody. All right, that's good. That's where we're good. How many of you are really concerned about the quality of the garden you have? All right, so this is where we are at too. You know, you don't want the chemicals in it. You don't want the herbicides. You don't want the pesticides. When we were commercially gardening, we poured all that crap on.
well,
First we did, and then we started working out. We tilled everything. It was raised beds under plastic and stuff like that. But how many of you are interested in companion crops with companion gardening? All right, great. That is really good. We won't waste a lot of time on other bullshit then, and that I don't really want to talk about. What we want to talk about right now, or what Joyce and I, obviously we're not doing it commercially anymore. We're growing it because Joyce loves to put up a lot of canned goods, and we give vegetables to our kids and stuff like that. We really want to get rid of the pesticides and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll start off with that. Right now what we are doing, and I'll just say what we're doing, and I'll try and tell you why, and if you have any questions, then let's just ask Joyce, okay? Because she really is the gardener, and her knees kind of slowing her up right now. But okay, well, we have changed it. First off, we have a lot of perennials. Do many of you have perennials? And what I'm talking about is we grow these because they're easy. First off, let's talk about the high tunnels. Now, we have started, we had originally 5 high tunnels. We had
we had 6.
6, was it 6? Yeah.
We had 6 at the most.
At one. One of them was 30 by 60, and the others are smaller, and we went to these smaller ones. The advantages of the high tunnel, obviously, is for tomato production especially. You can get them in earlier. You can hit the early markets if you're marketing them. You can control the weather. You can control the heat. You can well, not really the heat. We do put a sunscreen over the tops of these.
Moisture is a big deal.
Right, but the moisture is. We use drip tape and we use a stake and weave. I don't know.
Oh, I brought that. We didn't bring it in.
Let's see. Okay, now there's another one picture of it, and they're kind of beat up. Well, let's go back. Well, no, let me find the other high tunnels. I got to find the. No, I guess those are the only 2 pictures I had right back here. But we had the bigger ones. The advantage, like I said, is earlier market, control the weather. Tomatoes especially, you don't get any cracking. You can get the tomatoes to grow good. We use drip tape on that. We use a stake and weave method. I really thought I had.
You had to pick mine.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah, I mean, we click that over. There you go.
There's some of well, we're still talking perennials right there. Just a minute. Okay.
Well, you can kind of see the
You can
stakes.
kind of see the stakes in here. This is an older picture, but we use. How many of you use stake and weave on your tomatoes? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, it was out in the car, didn't we?
Yeah,
Didn't bring it in.
didn't bring it
We have out in the car a stake.
I can run it.
Yeah, it's in the back of a red
I locked it,
CRV
so you're gonna
Honda.
have to give her a key. I locked it. So
Red
Honda.
CRV, Honda CRV. But we like the steak and weave. We've tried cages, we've tried panels, everything else, but the steak and weave, and these are the stakes right here,
So 1x1
Yeah.
stake, 4 feet tall.
and you drive it in the
Drive it in the
ground,
ground.
and we'll bring the twine and the things we
And I
use.
prefer a stake every 2 tomato plants.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my preferred is. We started out doing one stake every 3
Three,
tomato
and
plants.
that's really not
It's not
enough.
quite enough, and you start, we'll show you the thing, the weaving, when they're maybe even just a foot tall. I mean, you start so you keep them upright.
Yeah.
And then work at it for about a month or 6 weeks, and then when they're 4 feet tall, then, and we always had determinants.
We use,
I will bring you, what I've been buying, started buying was a polyester, fine twine. You have to, it doesn't disintegrate. You have to take it out of the garden and throw it away.
So you
It
do
does
a
not
fine twine?
Huh?
You do a fine twine, not like the garden Velcro? or
well,
anything like that?
we'll show you.
We'll show you.
She's gonna bring it
We'll
in.
bring some. It is a Velcro, I mean, a
yeah.
polyester. It is a polyester, so it doesn't disintegrate.
Okay.
It's not one you could leave in the ground and it,
It's not like baling.
Is that like
It's
the
not
ones
like
that they
baling
use for
twine.
baling?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we all
it's
got
not quite
that.
like baling twine, no. not-
It's a little different. We'll just show you. It's easy. You buy it in the garden. It's a thing that fits right under your
You can
belt.
strap it to your belt.
And we take a little PVC pipe and she'll bring it and run it through. So you just use the PVC to go around the stakes and around the tomatoes.
And you kind of, you go around each tomato.
We use determinate. Now these,
use determinate.
the one we had it was indeterminate. We tried. We like scarlet red. It's a commercial variety. Do you know? Are you familiar with it? I really like it. Also, some of the indeterminates, yeah, are good. Okay, here this obviously has gotten wet. Comes in a box with my old belt, and yeah, it's been used. And here's the twine, and then
And
you
this,
just
here's the twine, show them the twine.
yeah, it's just like that. Just really kind of a fun.
What you call it, though? If it's a garden-
Yeah, it's not as heavy as a baling
So where do
twine.
you buy that?
You can
I
we
buy it from Morgan County Seed in Missouri.
we I don't know if any of you have heard
That's where I've
of
always ordered it. We have used that seed company.
And what's the name?
for
Morgan County. It's in central Missouri.
And they really kind of cater to
Commercial gardening.
gardening.
They have
You
all
can
kinds.
buy seed and an
Equipment.
ounce or a pound or whatever, you really, and I have used them for a long time.
And if you ever, I mean, we always like to go down. First, our daughter lives in Kansas City, so it helps. But we like to go down there and buy this stuff just simply because they're in an Amish community and they're right next to a vegetable auction house. Have you ever been to a vegetable auction house?
That is an education.
That is so much
This is
fun.
You go there, is that what you said? You go down to
We
the-
go down to get it just to get the seed, and
can
it's a
order.
trip, you know.
They
Again,
have
we're
this
old
here.
people, you know. We're just
No, but you're observing, you're there.
Yeah.
You can see what's going
And-
on.
This year, they would not sell the scarlet red seed out of Missouri. And I am
Really?
assuming it had to do with quantity.
or
So we
something.
had BH
BH 589s.
589.
And they're a very good, very
Pretty good.
tasty tomato plant that at least we like versus, you know, the celebrities and all that you can normally
539.
get here.
And you get all that from them typically?
And-
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
can buy, like I say, the thing that I liked about them, especially when we were commercial gardening, is if I needed a pound of seed, I could buy it.
But you could also get 50 pounds if you wanted
Also,
to.
you know,
So-
I mean,
Or you can
and
get
now
less
these
on a
commercial
Yeah.
varieties are much pricier than the other.
But do they produce better?
Yeah, we think
felt
they
like we
do.
got
Well, has
better
anyone-
uniform tomatoes.
One of the
7%.
disadvantages in now just growing tomatoes in these two particular houses is we don't have it where the sides roll up always. And you need to do that.
You have more air.
Yeah, more air you need more air circulation for the pollination. You know, we sometimes run fans and stuff in there just to try and get better pollination. But again, we really like the high tunnels for growing them. And cucumbers are good, but tomatoes are the prime thing, you know. Yes.
How early do you put them in then? On these?
Oh, when in the high tunnels, we'll put them in 1st of April. And so,
April, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know if you went earlier.
No, well, you can, I think, but if you do, then you need, and we have some hoops with, the insulated cloth that you can put over them,
The blankets.
the blankets, to protect them.
And we
But
have
this,
done that.
yeah, and this way, by this way, we can usually, by the 1st of June, start having tomatoes. And when we were marketing them in at the market in Concordia, that was helpful. You can get a good price and people really want the homegrown tomatoes. And you can grow them longer. You can grow tomatoes this way. In fact, you have some peppers here that are really growing.
Well, my peppers are producing like 60 right now.
Yeah, you gotta remember, these houses here you can see there's a big one there that, one of the disadvantages of the hoop house, first off, the cost. These are all homemade. We just took and made them in the shop. We just took this pipe here as an old irrigation system pipe, and then we bought the tubing and the stuff like that and made our own. And I like them because they're sturdier. This one here was at one time was 30 by 60.
No.
Yeah, it was.
It was never 30, it's 13.
No, when it was big, and we cut.
We sold that one, we don't have that one.
Didn't we cut this one down? See, that's why I have her. Anyway, this one is a good one, but we just have a hell of a time keeping plastic on.
It's
You-
30 by 100 by 96, and it just catches.
It would just, would you believe these aren't where we put them? We had them all over here. I don't know if I can show you the other picture. Someplace in here, I've got a picture anyway. They literally this is where a hoop house was as of last, March? Something like that. A windstorm came along, picked it up, carried it over our grapes, and moved it about 75 yards on top of a bunch of trees.
And it had all the stakes in place. So
Yeah, it didn't touch the stakes. How it did it, and we had it tied down. I mean, we had it, everything.
Disadvantage.
And that's, yeah. There you can see some of the tears and the stuff like that. But there's a better picture of the stakes and the stake, how we stake and weave. And this is just a cover crop.
It's just a cover crop, kind of growing spotty.
But we like this. We can open the doors. We can't roll up the sides as well. But high tunnels, if there is some help, right?
Yes,
Yeah, go.
pop in. So I gave you a handout. NRCS has the equip program that will reimburse for high tunnels, but there's specifications you have to follow and find high tunnels with it, and it's so that the wind won't carry it away or tear it down. So we just had one go through our office successfully. It took a little time to kind of finagle it, figure out what high tunnel worked, but anyhow, so there are stipulations, and we could talk more about that later, but I wanted you to have the information because I'm like, oh yeah, very nice. So
And
you can't get home.
for us, I would say that setting them east and west will cause a little less wind damage than setting them north and south, where we have them. Now, I don't know about your location.
Because
Our north is very exposed.
our north, and that's what catches them. December 15th, the windstorm we had so bad a year ago. I mean, it picked these up and just, it
Rolled it and bent it.
rolled it probably 100 yards or more.
Everybody had issues. I mean, it was unusual.
Yeah.
It's for too long.
Yeah. But again, first off, high tunnels, again, spend the money. They're fun because you're eager to get out in March and work in them when they're really nice and warm and get stuff planted and so on.
But you don't heat them.
What's that?
You don't heat them. What do you do on a cold?
Well, we have,
Yeah.
when if it's too early, we have the blankets.
Yeah.
We-
And you just have to, and then one of the advantages of the blankets in the high tunnel is you close it up and then the wind doesn't catch the blanket. You don't have to anchor it because you've got it, out of the wind, which helps too.
Any frost in there? No
Well,
freezing?
And
can't grow
the
year-round,
blankets, and
right?
Yeah, you can. People do grow year round. They just, tomato, and you'll may be able to help me with this, but a tomato grows from 76 to 92 degrees or something like that. And after that, too hot, below that, they don't grow. So, and that's the thing that the high tunnel can do. Even in March, if the sun is out, a high tunnel will get 80, 90 degrees inside of
Because you got
it.
it closed.
Yeah.
You got it closed.
And so it makes it fun. Any more questions on the high tunnels. I don't really know what to tell you other than if you love gardening and you really enjoy it, a high tunnel is nice. I don't know anymore what the cost is. It
One of
was,
the advantages for me of the high tunnel and why we keep them, I think mostly, is it keeps the critters out. I mean, it's a built-in fence.
How about bugs?
Well, you can have bugs in there. I mean, that's.
yeah, we'll talk.
You're not getting big
And
on
actually,
other things.
this is 6 mil plastic, commercial plastic. It's not all that expensive to put over, and you can get it in rolls. It'll put it over. You attach it all, and I was going to bring that, and I forgot. But you know, you attach it with channel lock and wiggle wire. Are y'all familiar with that? It's a channel lock pipe, and then the wiggle wire that you put in there to hold the plastic. And if you have it good and tight, it'll withstand a lot of
See,
wind.
we have a hole in that one
Yeah.
on the side.
That
So
was
it needs to be replaced.
something tore through it.
Something tore through. What about hail?
Hail, you know, it has.
If it's really comes down hard.
It has to be really bad hail, though.
Oh, really? So it does resist.
Yeah. Hey, it'll withstand,
It'll withstand it.
you know, small marble-sized hail. If it's jagged, then they'll bring a hole in it. And if it's bigger, they won't. But smaller than that, it'll take care of it, or it'll do
And
it.
normally, we have had screen doors on the door, but this year we've had some issues, so we don't have the screen doors there that just open and close.
But if you're buying one, again, get the sides that roll up.
Yeah.
And sunscreen to put over the top in the summertime. And that, because that'll lower the temperature probably 10 degrees.
You
Or
mentioned
so.
critters. What about the pack rats and snakes and stuff? Do you find snakes in there trying to keep warm and, okay.
Not particularly, no, not particularly. I haven't noticed that big problem.
Just don't look.
I'm not one to,
We have, yeah.
you have a snake issue where you,
Ooh.
I have not noticed pack
I
rats
suppose-
out there.
Get you some.
This summer we had a
I know,
skunk,
I need a cat.
and the skunk was living in
My
the,
two pennies will kill them, my cats will
the
kill
bottom
them. Both of them, so sad.
irrigation pipe, because the ends were open. So I had to deal with that, because he was, living in the pipe, but I dealt with it.
We have, she has chickens also, and we have a great white Pyrenees as a guard dog.
Mine
And
will kill the pack rats.
yeah, and she does. She'll dig up and stuff like that.
And that's one of the, for the, like I say, the hoop houses, when I don't want the chickens in there, because I just keep them closed and I don't have to worry about digging everything up for small plants, you know. But then when they're bigger like now, I'd leave them open. Stir the soil.
One of the things, and we'll kind of get off, but you can still use cover crops and put cover crops in here. The best two things we did 2 years ago, and again, we've got some cover crop, garden cover crop, and we can talk about that if you want to, but we planted that. We, in this particular house right here a year ago, you can still see some remnants of it. It was the best thing that we did. I planted with a drill, I planted rye and hairy vetch. And we let it grow. And we moved the hoop house in it. Right. And then moved the hoop house on it. And we had rye and hairy vetch up this high. And we learned a real lesson is that's perfect. We came in with just a garden roller, or just one of those hand lawn rollers, and we didn't plant the tomatoes that year till what, 1st of May?
It was probably May.
1st of May. And we came in and it rolled perfectly. On the farm, we have a regular roller crimper that we use and stuff, and we'd never planted hairy vetch with the rye before, and then we have a hard time getting it rolled. But with the hairy vetch in there, it rolled it all flat. We planted the tomatoes right in it, and we've never had better tomatoes.
No bugs?
No bugs.
No bugs?
What do you mean by roll?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, we just simply broke it down and laid it flat on the
fla-
ground.
You cut it and just.
No,
no,
cutting.
no.
Just laid it down.
Laid it down. It's just
Kind of
have you
breaks
seen
it,
these
but it
lawn
leaves it
rollers or
deep
thing?
down.
It's like a big barrel that's about this big around that you can just roll. It didn't have any crimpers on it.
Nothing,
It
How
didn't.
heavy was it? I mean,
It wasn't even heavy. I didn't even fill it with water.
It's designed to be filled with water, but we did not fill it with water. We just took it in there.
I think you could rent one of those from
What did you,
I garden in stock tanks,
yeah.
Okay,
so I could just lay it over in the tank and
yes.
plant.
So, okay,
And I have started using some stock tanks.
So
I
the
love it.
roots
I
do
love
not
it.
interfere
I
with
have
your
arthritis
seed
real bad. I can't get
germination? The
down.
roots
Well,
No,
do
not if they're dead. In fact, they help.
So when you roll it, it kills the
I
plant.
have 3
Yes.
children, we have a 4th one.
Yeah, it
Doesn't
did.
try to pop back up and live.
A lot of times it does, but even if the question was, does that kill the plant? And this didn't necessarily kill the tomatoes, but
What do you mean, kill the
I mean, not the tomatoes, the rye, and
No, it laid down green, but then it did die.
it did die.
Died.
And we'll mulch it then with leaves and,
Tomato plants come up.
Come up.
Within
Yeah.
that, the seeds push up through.
Yeah.
oh,
right
yeah,
up there.
yeah.
that'd be like no-till, right?
Kind of, it's no-till, yeah. I
Okay,
do not till my
we're-
garden, ever.
We're going
Never till my garden.
3 different directions here. I love it. I've never seen, this is so exciting.
No, because we were trying to figure out what
No.
you're doing.
Well, I want to answer it. I want to
Obviously,
answer
when
it.
I plant potatoes, I dig a hole, so that's tilling. But to go in and just, I don't.
What,
Okay, so I'm, like on that cover crop that Jewel County has, I wouldn't have to get my husband out there to mow it
No.
or to spray it with rain.
the rye will come back. The rye will come back and you'll have to probably spray that
They
or,
have to spray it in the
or
spring.
try and roll it down. I don't know if there's enough hairy vetch in it to,
Okay.
You
to,
should be able, if you get it tall enough, it'll roll.
Okay, good.
everything else will winter kill. That's why this year, instead of the rye and everything, and I go, oh, well, we'll do it right now. Let's see where I can find it. We went with a different mixture. Well, no, it's back here.
Right, well,
No.
that's,
No, it still isn't what I want. Well, come on. I want to show this too because okay, right there. This is oats. We're using oats along with, and if you can see it, we have rapeseed, hairy vetch, and some turnips, and but basically it's rapeseed, hairy vetch, and oats because we want them all to die. And we hope that over the winter then this will all die. Hairy vetch may not, I don't really care. But again, then plant directly into that.
So it dies, and then you don't have to roll it.
right.
Yeah,
And then you,
just,
but if it is
but we
alive,
hope
you
we
roll
have
it.
it enough cover not to have any weeds.
So it should provide enough cover when it dies and lays, hopefully.
That's what we're trying. Now, we have, I don't have, I didn't get.
We do a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I have on my planner, and I've got a picture here on my phone that we tried last year, a couple of years now. It's worked so-so. Instead of the press wheels on my corn planter for sweet corn, why instead of them, I have roller crimpers on the press wheels, and that worked really
Now,
good.
Do they know what a roller crimper is? Okay.
And I have it right here, and I'll pass it around.
Oats, turnips, hairy vetch, and what was the other one?
Hang on, I got it right here for you. Balanza clover.
On that one there.
Here is
This is what
what's
he
in,
said.
here is what's in, what's often used. Barley is used, Austrian winter peas. This is what's in this cover crop mix,
It was rapeseed.
rapeseed.
I'll just pass this around. This is the roller crimpers on the press wheel of the planter.
Rollers, and then it crimps it. There's
Just,
little-
yeah.
Covers crop, we don't need to worry about it.
Just pass it on around and show you. It's just,
How many garden seeds do I have left over? I want to plant. Let's see what I got.
and we just,
I mean, I got pumpkin,
We-
I got whatever I didn't plant all of, squash.
Oh, you just plant them for your
I'll just
cover
plant them
crop?
for the fall cover crop, and then they will die over here, but I've got something growing and covering the ground. That's partly what I do, you know, I don't want
I've got old seed.
old seed or anything that I didn't plant the whole packet of in the spring.
All right.
And I didn't, you know, like pumpkin and squash are one of those things, I don't want 50 plants. I want 3 to produce for just us. So then in the fall, when I need a cover crop, I'll put those out.
You put 'em
but
in
what
the
is,
sun,
Yeah, I just plant them wherever I got, if the potatoes are up and gone
You put
early,
something
like
in
in July, 1st of August,
Sure.
then I start putting in a cover crop right now. So something's growing.
we do also to help with the
And
weeds,
It could be whatever I have. I mean,
on like the tomatoes
well,
and stuff
that's
like
partly
that.
why I do the cover crop, help prevent.
We use
Great.
we use a lot of leaves. We'll go into town where they collect the leaves and just
Leaves
get
are
buckets of
wonderful.
leaves,
Get lots of leaves.
and we put leaves as mulch. We also use a lot of compost, and again, we make our own compost. We do two things. We were able to get from the county fair all the bedding and stuff like that from the county fair, and we compost that along with everything else we have. We also are making our own Johnson Sioux compost extract now. I don't know, are you familiar with that at all? Again, I don't have a picture of that up here, but we just took an old tote, chemical type tote, and are making a Johnson Sioux compost. And what it is you just put it in with, and again, I wish I had pictures up here. Put it in a tote. You just mix anything you have. Basically, some manure is good, but again, straw, alfalfa, a mixture of different stuff.
need
Yeah,
green.
corn stalks, stuff like that. You put tubes in, and you take and just let it set for a whole year. Add some worms to it. And we bought some last year and been using it where we bought the compost, compost, and then made our own extract. And again, I should have put that on here, but again, we're really excited about that. We've used that as fertilizer. This was not a good year as a starter fertilizer. We didn't have any good tests just because of the drought, but I really hope there's people who are doing it and having amazing results
So
with
what
the
was that name again?
Johnson Sioux.
And
It's
you can go
KJ.
online and find all kinds of
Right. Go to,
information.
and Terrell will go with this, go to Young Red Angus. Jay Young, and he's coming up to Concordia and speak here in January, I believe. He's also down in Iowa, and this guy is doing amazing things. It's not gardening, but it's farming, and he's doing amazing things with it.
It's kind of like a compost tea.
Yeah, it is a compost tea.
Compost tea.
But there is a
Definitely.
difference.
There is a difference.
Yes, because a compost tea, you have to brew and add air and add food sources. And extract, you're basically just washing the biology.
Biology right out.
So there is a distinct.
Yeah.
Young, what was
Jay Young,
Jay?
It's Young Red Angus.
Young Red Angus.
Red.
Angus.
Yeah, on
That's
YouTube.
yes,
On
yes,
YouTube.
like website or.
And
Look up Dr. David Johnson.
yeah, David Johnson and his wife is Sue.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can't think of her first name,
Johnson Sioux.
but you can make
And
your
I'm
own.
not sure about the spelling.
Yeah.
Johnson Sioux spelled Johnson Sioux?
Yeah, Johnson dash Sue.
Dash Sioux.
Yeah, you can just do
Sue, S-U-E?
SU,
S-U-E.
just SU.
Oh, just S-U.
S-U?
SU.
Johnson
Oh, I
S-U.
spelt it like the Sioux Indian.
Yeah, well, she's Oriental, I think, and he's Swedish, obviously, so. But anyway, that's just a neat fertilizer, and we're really, we have in our garden, and this is part of it, it isn't all of it, but in our garden, we have taken 2.5 organic matter soil and now have it up to 6. And it's an amazing thing. The biggest thing that probably gets us the most excited, when we had the hoop house and the commercial garden, in our tomatoes, we fought spider mites and flea aphids
Aphids.
all the time. We sprayed everything and all of that. And since we have been doing this with the Joyce's different companion crops,
Lots
and
of
we'll
companion
talk a little more about that, but we have not fought any of them. We do have some tobacco hornworms every
We had
now.
a few this year, and we had a few squash bugs.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you gotta have squash.
Yeah,
But
we gotta
my normal
we
way to
gotta
get rid
figure
of
that.
squash bugs, normally what I do
We need to know.
is any plant that attracts squash bugs, I don't plant it till the 1st of June,
Okay.
because you miss that first hatch. What happened this year is I had a whole bunch of gourds come up by themselves, and I thought, I'll let them grow.
Oh, no,
Well,
of course.
they came up early, and of course then squash hatched.
But do you actually miss them after the 1st of June, or is there a second hatch? that
I have had
catches-
so few after the 1st of June
Okay.
that I don't even worry about it.
Okay.
I mean, we'll get a few, but
I
not very
found
many.
that my plants, if they're super healthy, don't attract squash
No, they
bugs
don't.
as much, but then hail hit them,
And then
and
they're
then
not
they were
weaker.
compromised, and then the squash bugs
So
moved
do
in.
you kind of tie your squash up some, or do you just let it
I
go
don't my
back?
squash. I do my cucumbers, but I don't my squash.
Okay, and how often, do you soil test every year?
No, every other year or so. But you asked the healthy plants. Tom Dykstra, you and I both have listened to him so much. In a healthy soil, and again, and how you determine that is if you got all, to me, you put a pair of cotton underwear down in the soil, and if it's gone in 3 to 4 weeks, you got a healthy soil.
Can we find cotton underwear?
Right. Take an old pair of cotton underwear. That, believe me, that works.
Wow.
Or if you take a spade, out and take and pick it up, and it's a nice crumbly soil that's dark and rich, and you got a lot of earthworms, you know you have a healthy soil. Now, if you have a healthy soil, you're not going to have insects, and the reason is for the Brix level. Are you familiar with the Brix level? Basically it's a refractometer. You can take a little juice, squeeze a little juice out of the plant, and it'll read the sugar level in those plants. And Tom Dykstra says anything over 12 or 14? Yeah.
It depends on
Every insect has a Brix level that they are happy with, like the spider mites. They're not actually an insect, but the other one, the flea beetles. They like a low Brix level of about 6 to 7, and they will destroy a plant in a few days.
Higher, then they'll go somewhere.
If they're higher, it'll be a different plant.
It's healthy,
We
healthy.
are very ignorant. We wanna learn more, but you guys are way.
Okay, well, start with lots of companion plantings. And when you do companion plantings, and I plant, there's so many choices out there, it's beyond, I routinely keep mint, peppermint growing in my garden, because it's a perennial. I always have it growing in each. My garden is in about 5 sections or groups, and I have a plot of mint that is planted in each place. And it is a spreader, it just will take over. So every spring, you've gotta chop some of it up, because it will take over. I plant marigolds, I plant nasturtiums, I plant zinnias, I plant,
Buckwheat is another good one.
Basil, plant basil with your tomatoes. Plant basil, and it will reseed itself. So if you want it to reseed, watch how much comes up. Parsley, garlic is great to have growing out there. Oh, God, what else do I plant?
There's a book, Tomatoes Love Carrots.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can find online all
Tomatoes love
kinds of
carrots and it
things.
has-
You can
So
find
in the same,
area,
Okay,
right?
and what I do, when I first started doing companion plants, I would plant a row of this, and then I would go and then I plant. No more. I plant 5 tomato plants, and then I plant whatever I want next to it. That's right in the middle of my row. And then I may plant 3 more, and I plant parsley, and then I just mix it right in my row. And for potatoes, when I plant potatoes, I plant all my brassicas right next to my potatoes, because they help keep the bugs off the potatoes, plus the potatoes help the brassicas. The kale, the broccoli,
One of the,
I interplant those. What else do I do, dear?
well,
I can also send
I don't know.
information on companion planting to
That's
the email,
cabbage.
and I send you guys some information. Okay.
one of the most beautiful gardens we've seen was, our son lives in Telluride, Colorado, and he had a friend out there that went around to all the farmers markets and grabbed everybody's garbage. She'd give them a 5-gallon bucket and said, "Here, put your garbage in it." She took it home and made a compost out of it and made the compost tea, and then sold the tea back to them at the farmers market.
She had a beautiful garden.
But we went and saw her garden, and again, it was out at Norwood, Colorado, which is nothing but desert out there. And she had we went out and looked at her garden, and you couldn't tell anything. You couldn't, where's the potatoes, where's the tomatoes, or what? It was just all mixed together. But it was the most beautiful garden we've ever seen in our lives. The companion thing isn't new. Have you guys all heard of the 3 sisters? Okay, so you know the whole story on the 3 sisters. So, the 3 sisters, the Indian legend, where they planted corn, beans, climbing beans, and squash. And the reason where the corn grew up, the beans being a legume provided the nitrogen, grew up the corn plant,
And then
and then the squash plant came out and covered the ground, so there was no other weeds and stuff. And believe me, it works. Yeah.
There's also, one where we talked about 7 of them together. We had that at a DAR meeting.
Oh, okay.
But they had 7 of them, and I can't remember what all the 7 were, but you
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Pumpkins were in there, and then,
Yeah, pumpkins is.
Pumpkins is a squash.
beans were, they had them kind of in a star shape too. If I have that in.
Send that to me.
If you ever get a chance, when you talk about the Three Sisters and what the Native Americans did, the Iowa tribe up in northeast Kansas is really making a push on regenerative agriculture.
Really?
We just had a tour here a month or so ago, a bus tour, and they talked about the companion plants. They have plantings with the Three Sisters, and they're just totally trying to, and we made a video of them, Kansas Association of Conservation Districts. It's posted on our website of what they're doing up there, and they're putting in high tunnels, and they're gonna put in a hydroponics tunnel in the back. But they go through all of that, and
Really?
it was a great tour that they put on up there.
If you can find that, we have two things. One, we have a Facebook page that Terrell puts a lot on, and everybody else. It's called North Central Kansas Soil Health. And I try to put a lot. Terrell does a good job putting stuff on. So does Sherry and everybody. Go to that and just add all of this stuff. If you see that or anything that's interesting, see that for us. I do want to say, and Cherry, I think, or we're about running out of time, I suppose, aren't we? Well, anyway,
About 15 minutes.
Joyce and I right now, we've got to be honest, we both, she has a passion for gardening, I have a passion for farming. And by the way, I'm a retired farmer, sort of. The young man that was my hired man, I'm now his hired man. But I only do what I want to do when I want to do it. So there's a K-State game, I'm gone. I also announce Panther football game, so I take off a lot. But I'm very fortunate. But we both have, right now, I think farming finally, and even gardening, is finally going in the right direction. Where we're taking and doing, I understand, Tom, you have a organic garden, so that's where we want to get to.
How do you water?
When we water, we'll use drip most
You
of
use
the
drip?
time, depending on what we're doing. Some things do better with overhead, but.
Well,
I have kind of given up the drip, partly because of just keeping it from being all broken. But I felt like my cover crops and my companion crops have done better since I've gone to sprinkling the whole ground instead of
'Cause,
leaving part of it dry.
you know, I
But
think
I've
when
done
you're-
a lot of drip. I've done a lot.
when you're commercially farming, where you just want the plant watered, you really don't want the other watered,
I
then,
do, it's very efficient.
yeah, very
It's very
efficient.
Drip tape is what you said?
Yeah, drip
Yeah,
paper.
have you ever
You have to
used
set
any
up-
of
I
that?
mean, it's
You
a,
hook it up, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You have a
All
feeder
comes
hose,
out,
and
yeah.
it's very efficient.
Very
It really
efficient.
is. But I feel like I get better results on my cover crops that are kind of on the outside edges or during the rows. But I'm just carving for meat, so I'm not trying to grow.
Now, the one thing, again, I'll back up just a little bit. I do speak at a biology class at Concordia every year. They want to know about GMOs. And we use GMOs. We like non-GMO sweet corn. We like GMO sweet corn. Just simply because we don't have to spray it, especially when we were selling sweet corn. You know, the housewife doesn't want that god-awful worm in that ear. And so you can use BT sweet corn and stuff like that. And so, well, I think you've all heard this, that, you know, when I was a kid, when I ate an apple or an orange, I got enough nutrients to be healthy out of that. For them now, for these kids to eat an apple or an orange, to get the same amount of nutrients, they have to eat 6 of them to get the same vitamins and minerals. And that just scares me.
It's all the spraying that's killing the nutrients in the soil.
Yeah, we don't have the nutrients in it, and I think it's because of the
On
soil.
my list, I wrote some things down, comfrey,
So farmers who do a lot of spraying.
We actually, yes, okay,
not remember.
And I'm very curious
And I
about
mix
how
in
that's.
some.
okay, I'm gonna tell you, we do less spraying with the no-till.
See, so much spraying going on,
Because
Oh.
it has a good
way
pack.
more than in the past.
And I always.
We spray for everything.
10
Fungicides,
is
we've
one
cut
I
all our,
tried, I've not had very good.
just, we have cut out all of our fungicide spraying. We no longer spray for fungicides. We have, because we roller crimp all the soybeans, we plant green into the soybeans and we roller crimp them. We have cut back our herbicide in half by doing that. And so I think there's a way to do it, but I'm sure the Roundup is not good for us, and the dicambas and stuff like that. It can't be good for us. I know it affects how the plant grows. Roundup is what do they call it, a chelator or something like that. It ties up, yeah, you may know more about it, Tyler, but it ties up some of the nutrients in the plants and stuff like that. And yeah, go
So
ahead.
how do you change farmers' viewpoints, because there's so much spraying going on?
That's what the conservation district's for.
Yeah, but do they listen to you
Well,
and try it?
I mean,
they have done studies, and I don't like the chemicals either. I really don't. But you can go, and if you have a good no-till system, even though you are using chemicals, your soil will be healthier than a full-on conventional tillage system. Yes, the chemicals aren't good, but they have less of an effect on the biology in the long term, or the short term for darn sure, than the tillage. Because when the tillage goes through, you're destroying their house, you're destroying them, you're breaking up all their complex.
I'm not saying go to tillage, I'm just
Right.
saying how do you
Right.
avoid
The
the
chemicals.
spraying that's
On a
going
large
on,
scale?
and to get farmers to buy into that,
Yeah.
because I can look at the field across from my road and he didn't put as much chemical and he's got a bunch of weeds.
Right.
The guy to the
Right.
south of me has sprayed and sprayed and sprayed and sprayed.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right, yeah, I know, it's
Something
not
like
easy, especially at a commercial scale, but at a small scale, it's a lot easier to get away without doing any spray, doing any tillage. That's a good starting point for no-till, if you've ever read Ruth
What I
Stout,
really call my flower garden.
I can't think of her book,
I just-
but Ruth Stout,
Clip it, clip it,
no dig
it's right
gardening.
next to
No
my
dig
peas.
gardening,
Yeah,
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 that's it,
Ruth
yeah.
Spray my peas.
She just started using hay,
So I just keep after it.
what,
I
back in the
have not-
sixties?
I have
Are you aware, this is what just blows me away, and I just love to tell it, in a tablespoon of healthy soil, and this is one that's been cover cropped, livestock in it, there's the 5 soil health principles you're maybe all familiar with. But in a tablespoon of healthy soil, there are more living organisms in that soil than there are people on this earth. Can you believe that? That 10 million. They say 10 million in a teaspoon of healthy soil.
Teaspoon or tablespoon?
Tablespoon, sorry, tablespoon. Big difference, you know. And in like a corn plant, a healthy corn plant will have over 600 miles of mycorrhizae fungi. That is from here to Denver and halfway back.
Sometimes I just.
Can you believe that?
I jerk it out.
The Lord just amazes me
That's what I was just
at what is happening. And when you're out walking on that, you know, and you dig down and you see a worm and all the other stuff is there,
And that's okay.
we're more excited. Joyce and I are more excited about farming and gardening than we ever have been, because I think it's going the right way, and we got to figure it out. You know, I'm an old man and sometimes don't think too clear.